I don't know. Did anything notable happen in Jets land this week? Yeah, fans feeling okay? I don't know. I haven't been seeing any coverage, anything whatsoever. We got some stuff to talk about with the New York Jets, guys. You know what's up. It's Wednesday night. It's 7 p.m. and we are live. And well, welcome everybody to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm your party host, Wa2K99, here for our weekly Wednesday Night Live extravaganza. And man, oh man, just when you think it couldn't get worse to be a Jets fan, the Jets find yet another new and inventive way to make you just want to dig a hole in your backyard and just jump right in and hope the world will just go away. Never again should we be surprised at how bad it can be to be a New York Jets fan. But we're going to get into all of that in just a few moments. First of all, just a couple quick housekeeping things. Everybody, I see we got some people hanging out in the chat. Welcome, folks. Glad you're here. Please hit that thumbs up. Share the channel if you haven't. Subscribe. We are making some upward momentum, and I'm very thankful. It does not happen without you guys. Okay, let's get right into. We're going to get into the Jets in one moment, but you know what we got to do? I got to talk about some other things that are kind of on my nerves right now. So let's talk about what else is going on in the world of New York sports with a little segment that we call 3 and Out. The New York Knicks, well, they had 2 4-game losing streaks in the last month. Now they've won 3 in a row, beating Brooklyn, Philadelphia, and then Sacramento on Tuesday. Jalen drops the 28 points. But the biggest question right now is, will this Giannis trade happen? The trade deadline is basically, it's in 1 week. If the Knicks are going to do it, if they're going to go all in, they're going to have to make that decision quickly. And without a lot of draft capital to trade away, they're going to have to trade a star. Is that Karl Anthony Towns? Is that OG of those players? I think my signal went for a second. Is that a combination of those players? But the Knicks are at Toronto tonight, tied in the standings with them. Knicks 1 game back of the Celtics in the Atlantic. Hopefully that's the end of their cold streak. All right, and I want to spend a minute here on hockey. I see the great Grandizer is here. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're having a great week. Oh, yeah, I'll talk about everything, and I'll talk about all of that good stuff in a moment. It's got a couple questions for us. The Rangers, nice overtime. And I'm going to spend some time on the Rangers, the Islanders, and the Devils, some teams that actually, the 2 teams that, well, one team deserves the attention right about now. But the Rangers beat Boston in overtime on Monday, 4-3 final. They had another one of their Centennial Ranger ceremonies where they bring back a bunch of the players. And this was the, quote, legendary Rangers ceremony. Legendary Rangers. And they brought in the core 4 from 94, Messier, Leach, Richter, Graves, some of the role players, Stefan Matteau, Brian Noonan, Sergei Nemchinov, Kevin Lowe, Jay Wells, Jeff Bukamo. But the 2 that they started with were Darren Turcotte and Radek Dvorak. Okay, please explain this to me. How did those 2 get lumped in with the Stanley Cup champion teams? Now, Turcotte, good scorer in the late 80s and early 90s, nice Ranger. He was traded in late 93 with James Patrick for Steve Larmer because Mike Keenan couldn't stand him. And Radek Dvorak was part of the checkmates line in the late 90s, which up until recently was the black hole of recent Ranger history. Never played a playoff game with the Rangers. So why those 2 were there, it made no sense. But the Rangers have begun their teardown, trading Carson Soucy to the Crosstown Islanders for a 3rd-round pick. It's no big loss from a Rangers perspective. But for the Rangers, this will be the first of multiple trades that will happen over the next 5 weeks. And it's Rangers versus Islanders tonight. Now, from an Islanders perspective, Soucy is going to help solidify their defense. They lost Alex Romanov to injury, so they needed that. Islanders, 3rd in the Atlantic. I give them credit behind Carolina and, amazingly, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has won 4 straight. They're in 2nd in this division. Dan Muse, who, by the way, was an assistant coach for the Rangers last year, now the head coach in Pittsburgh. I guess he knew what he was doing. I guess he could coach. And a minute on the Devils. So they also make a trade with the Islanders. They send Andre Palat, a former Lightning winger, to the Islanders with some draft picks for Maxim Spolakov, the young forward that the Islanders brought over. Adding Palat will add a veteran scorer to the wing, which they need. Devils, though, are 9 points out of a playoff spot. And this new era of Devils hockey is looking DOA. It's going to go down as one series win against the Rangers. That's going to be their high point. I'm sure one day they'll have a reunion, like a 10-year reunion night about that one first-round series win. They'll have a Kira Schmid night down the road. Oh, my gosh. Just ridiculous. You talk about an era that has failed and failed spectacularly. This new era of the New Jersey Devils, it ain't all that, guys. It just ain't all that. All right, guys, that was about the fastest 3 and out that I've ever done because I got some shit to say, and my mouth gonna say it. So, on that note, everybody, I don't have a chant in me, but there's somebody from WFAN who puts it all in perspective about the New York Jets.
This is the New York Jets where careers come to die and the worst memories of your life are born.
The sad part is, every time I play that, I see more and more truth in that statement. I really do. A couple things in the comments. Grandizer, is work good? Hobbies good? Dinner good? Yeah, dinner was some grilled cheese and tomato soup tonight. Actually, it was from Trader Joe's, the organic tomato and roasted pepper soup. You know, add a little extra Italian herbs, add a couple shots of hot sauce to it. I was dipping that grilled cheese in that tomato soup. And by the way, I'll give you a little tip or two. I like to give my cooking tips once in a while. Now, I am not a mayonnaise fan at all. I will not put it on a sandwich, on a burger, nothing. But there's one time I like using mayonnaise, and it's grilled cheese. So I spread the outside of 2 slices of bread with the mayo, all right, a very thin layer of mayo, and then I dip that mayo layer in Parmesan, okay? And then I put whatever cheese I want in the middle. I put a little garlic, salt, some Italian herbs, and then you cook that for about 4 minutes, medium to medium-high heat, either side. And then with the mayo, it helps bind the Parmesan, and you get sort of that frico crust where the Parmesan it just gets all nice and brown, and whatever cheese you want is in the middle, and you dip that in the tomato soup, so you got the Parmesan going into the tomato soup. Just, amazing. It's one of those things. You have like 2 slices of bread with the sandwich, and it's like, I could take another one of those down, no problem. So, yeah. So that was dinner tonight. Works pretty good. I'm about 3 weeks into the job. Hey, they like me. I like them. I'll just be very happy when my probation period is over in early March, and I can start actually taking time off and getting full benefits. So I've got to wait a little bit for that. Hey, Billy SBC, do the Jets have any idea what they're doing? Quoting the title of the show, have the Jets ever had any idea what they're doing? Yeah, but you have to go back to when I had all dark hair, and I don't know if I could grow a goatee at the time. You got to go back a few years. The great David D. Big Islander, he's skipping Rangers Islanders hasn't started yet, but he's here. I appreciate the dedication. All hail the wicker chair. Exactly right. So just for you, there you go. There's your wicker chair action right now. All right. The great Harlan Abraham, Father Abraham, and his many sons. The many sons of Father Abraham are here. That's right. Hit that thumbs up button. Harlan, I'm glad you're here. Work does not put you in a probation period. You put the work on a probation period. That's right. Come at me. Now, we're getting along well, and by the grace of God, I finally started getting paid in 2 days. It's been a minute, but with the whole structure, that's the way it goes. And my medical insurance kicks in February 1st, but the majority of benefits, I got to wait till mid-March. So that is something that is kind of rough. But all right, guys. So talking about the Jet. Well, so first of all, let's get into the news. As far as the championship game recap, that recap goes, here's what I'm going to tell you. I got no interest in watching the Super Bowl. Go Seahawks. Moving on. Let's get right into the Jet news. So there we go. Doing a little bit of a different thing. Guys, I get we're upset as Jet fans. I get that we're disgusted over the last 15 years. And when I go off, I can go off. I've had a few rants that have been pretty memorable. But deep down, especially when it's the offseason, I try to keep some optimism. I really, really do. I try to hold on to, maybe not optimism, but I try to hold on to hope through frustration, through the negativity, through the misery, through the heartache, through all of it. And I actually, guys, I'll take you a little bit behind the curtain, okay? I had plans over this week, the next week or two, to at some point to do a show on why Jet fans could be optimistic about the future. This week ended that shit, okay? With not just what happened, but when it happened. This, you hear the rudderless ship analogy. I don't even know what the appropriate analogy is. I've used the analogy the Jets could screw up a one-car funeral, and I'm starting to believe that. So, Tanner Engstrand fired because he wouldn't take a demotion. I'm going to get into John Gruden in a few minutes. I'm going to get into Gruden in a moment or two. But the Jets let go of 8 coaches this week over the last 7 days. Tanner Engstrand, Charles London, Scott Turner, who clearly has no bitterness toward the Jets whatsoever, Eric Washington, Aaron Curry, Roosevelt Williams, Dre Bly, and Alonzo Escalante. Oh, boy. I think that was a name on the Barry Gibb talk show on Saturday Night Live. Alonzo Escalante. Yeah. Anyway. And it's not the fact, it doesn't necessarily bother me that coaches got let go. I knew coaches were going to let go. There were coaches here who deserved to get let go. I'm just surprised that Engstrand is out and that he was stepped away. From everything I hear, he wasn't fired. But once the news came down that he was going to take on this different role, it felt like a matter of time. It was just not going to last. And I don't blame him for being upset. I think Tanner Engstrand got a royal screwing here with maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL this past year, either worst or second worst. You can make the arguments like them in Cleveland. The worst wide receiver room in the league once Garrett Wilson went down, and they let him go. What did Engstrand do that was so egregious? They had a good run game. The offensive line was developing. You had some tight ends you could work with. The fact that none of these quarterbacks could play, is that on Tanner Engstrand's shoulders? To at least get to a competent level of football. I'm not talking about being the Dolphins from 3 years ago or, the Rams this year or anything like that. I just felt if you added a good enough quarterback and one starting wide receiver and you figured out the one starting guard spot, you could have a good NFL caliber offense. But somehow Engstrand falls on the sword, and I don't understand why. So with all that in mind, there is something that we have to do here. And if you've been here with me for any period of time, you know what it is. These are the 8 coaches that have been fired. It's when you add Steve Wilkes from in the middle of the season, that makes it 9. So let's go through these one by one. Tanner Engstrand, we thank you for your time, but
He gone!
Charles London, we don't thank you for your time.
He gone!
Scott Turner, you hate us? Shove it.
He gone!
Eric Washington, we don't even know what you did.
He gone!
Defensive line, but I never heard any stories. Aaron Curry, players couldn't stand him.
He gone!
Roosevelt Williams, who knew he was even employed to begin with?
He gone!
Dre Bly, he'll be remembered for having a very cool player name.
He gone!
And Alonzo Escalante, nothing more to say other than I wanted to say his name again.
He gone!
I think we just set a record for the most times that we have ever played.
He gone!
And if we did before, we just did right there. So the Jets are now looking for their 12th offensive coordinator in 16 years. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that Junior Shoddy was one of the best we've had in the last quarter century? Remember when he was here and Jet fans hated him? Especially after the way they blew that Christmas Eve game to the Giants, which, let's be real, the Jets never recovered from. They really never did. And Schottenheimer was having Sanchez throw and throw and throw and throw. It was such a flawed design. And after that, pretty much every Jet fan I knew was pretty much out on Shoddy. And now what we would give to have him back. Can you believe it? It is dumbfounding what has happened. So who could the Jets hire? Well, they're looking at the Cowboys tight end coach, some guy named Lunda Wells, whatever the hell his name is. That's about as exciting as watching grass grow. Look, it's just semantics. It's a Rooney Rule interview. the Jets are going to do what the Patriots did when they hired Vrabel. They will find 2 minority coaches to interview, and then as soon as those are done, they will formally hire the man who they wanted. Of course, the Patriots wanted Mike Vrabel. The Jets want Frank Reich. Now, I'm okay with Frank Reich. Former head coach, runs a very cerebral offense. It seems to be one the players like, that players can get behind. So I'm not adverse to the Frank Reich hiring for like 2 years. My only thing is, who the hell is the quarterback on this team? Because if you don't have a quarterback to run the offense, it doesn't matter how good your play design is, unless you're going to the Wildcat, and that jumped the shark, 15 years ago. Now, or 10 years ago. Now, I will say this. The Jets offensive coordinator job, that actually may be more desirable than the Philly OC job. That is a job no one wants. As a matter of fact, I've got an interview for the Philly OC job tomorrow. So I got my resume going together. I've got a nice green tie ready to go. They won't know it's Jets green. It's actually, I'm going to go like this as I enter the interview room, and let's see. So I'm going to work on getting that OC job in Philadelphia, because nobody wants that job. I don't even think Adam Gase would take that job right now. Man alive. Yeah, Bill, exactly. Yep, Eggstrom was going to be demoted, and he said, no, up yours. And I don't blame him for that, because he didn't deserve to be demoted. There's a very, very small minority of Jet fans who wanted Eggstrom out, and I just never understood the thinking behind it. I just never understood it. Grandizer responding to Harlan with the way the team played last season, thought, more coaches would go. Because it was AG's first year, there would be growing pains. Yes, I mean, AG knows these guys. Apparently, he knew these coaches, but they didn't fit the roles that he had in mind for them. I mean, it's either the players were that bad, or the coaches were that bad, or it's somewhere in the middle. And it's probably somewhere in the middle. So, yeah, there will be Grandizer. There will be some of the offensive coaches hanging around. There are at least 3 coaches. I know the offensive line coach, I think the wide receiver coach, and the tight end coach, and they are staying. So there are a number of coaches that will be staying. And thankfully, and most importantly, there will be one very important coach staying, and he goes by the name of, well, you know what his name is, right? Yeah. You know what his name is, right? Yeah. His name is Chris Banjo.
Storybox Audio.
Okay, there. All right, so we got our Chris Banjo mention out of the way. Thankfully, he's still hanging around. I don't know why, but he is still hanging around. All right, so as far as John Gruden goes, let's get to him. There's really nothing here that surprises me. The Jets asked him to come in as an assistant of some kind, most likely as the offensive coordinator. Okay, but he was never coming here unless he was in control of everything. Why would John Gruden come to the New York Jets and be Aaron Glenn's assistant? Why would he be beneath Aaron Glenn? It makes no sense. And deep down, there's speculation. Did Woody Johnson meddle? Did he not meddle? I keep coming back to one question. Would Aaron Glenn have wanted John Gruden in the room? Would he have wanted that? I don't think there's any way. You know why? Because these players and these assistant coaches would have looked at John Gruden as the man, not Aaron Glenn. And Glenn can't have that. He's still got to establish himself if he can. I believe this came from Woody, and at the very least, if he didn't make the call to John Gruden, which I believe he most likely did, then he definitely had a prominent role in saying, yes, give John Gruden a call and see if he's interested. Or maybe it was Jaime, one of the bigwigs. I don't think it would have been Darren Muji. I don't think it would have been Aaron Glenn. It would have been somebody like above the front office. And I really believe it was Woody calling John Gruden. It just doesn't make any sense to me that Aaron Glenn would want John Gruden in the building. Greg wants me to play Dylan banjos. There's some copyright issues with that. So I found the best banjo music that I could. Yeah, if I played banjo music, I think I would get a little bit of a knock for that. That's the only reason why I have to find like these random clips that don't have copyright issues. The great Johnny Ola 3800. How you doing, Johnny? Says John Gruden 2027. It is very possible. Hey, but if Mike Tomlin or Sean McDermott are still out there, John Gruden is going to third on my list. I'll tell you that. But look at it this way. The fact that 10 head coaches are being hired, there are going to be 10 new head coaches going into the season. Maybe that gives the Jets less competition for a head coach next season, assuming Aaron Glenn goes. And I'm gonna get more into how I feel about Aaron Glenn in a moment, but I want to spend a moment here on John Gruden. Billy wants to say, I'll bet you that was not about him becoming an OC, it was about becoming head coach after this season. According to the reports we've heard, that hasn't been the situation, but who knows what the truth is? We may never know what the truth is. All right, now a couple of things on the defensive coordinator situation. Let's talk about this defensive coordinator, just this absolute mess. Now, Dallas and Washington have filled their spots. All right, Dallas hires Christian Parker. Washington hires Durante Jones, who the Jets had interviewed, and I had him very high on my list. Pretty much everybody else who's looking for a defensive coordinator role, they're looking to hire head coaches. San Francisco is added as well, now that Saleh left. But I had a whole thing ready to go today for the 5 remaining candidates. Okay, and just as a little bit of a refresher, this was the graphic that I had. 3 X's, and this was the graphic I had ready to go Tuesday morning. Tuesday afternoon, I added this little note here on the bottom. And Brian Duker with 3 question marks, because who the hell knew I don't even think Mrs. Duker knows who Brian Duker is. Wife, if he's got one, or his mother. I don't even think either of them know who Brian Duker is. So I had this ready to go. Then Saturday it comes down. Wink was on his way back to Florham Park. And I would say about 2/3 to 3/4 of Jets social media lost their collective MF minds. Okay. It's like, no, not Wink Martindale. No, you can't hire Wink Martindale. This will never work. All right. Well, Sunday came, nothing. Monday came, nothing. Then Tuesday, they interview the one and only, the immortal Brian Duker. And this was the graphic that I created for it, adding the and Brian Duker. 24 hours later, they hire this guy. Look at that inspiring face. He looks like a computer programming intern. Oh, my God. How inspiring is that face? Jeez-a-loo. Here's his coaching history. 2015, Cleveland Browns, defensive intern. 2016, San Francisco 49ers, defensive analyst. 2018, Baltimore, defensive staff assistant, coaching analyst. 2019 and 20 with Baltimore, defensive coaching analyst. Whatever. Apparently, he does a lot of analyzing. 2021, he goes to Detroit, defensive assistant coach. 2022, Detroit, safeties coach. 2023, working with Aaron Glenn, defensive backs coach. 2024, he goes to Miami. And 2025, same job, defensive pass game coordinator and secondary coach. Now, in those 2 years, the Dolphins had the 19th ranked pass defense, 22nd best interception rate, 23rd best sack rate, and 20th best pressure rate. Grandizer, if you have something to say about it, about the Duker, let us know. Grandizer, here's all I want to know. Did you know who the hell this guy was before he got hired? Because none of us did. There is not a soul on earth outside the Miami Dolphins organization who knew who Brian Duker was. No one. If they didn't work with him, they didn't know who he was. Oh, Billy, if Gruden is head coach, does that put fans in the seats? Now you know why Woody called him. For a little bit, it does. Maybe a first couple of home games. But do people really go to a football game to watch the head coach? The head coach kind of blends in like camouflage. Now, if he's getting the players to play well, then it's a different story. You're going to see what the head coach, what he instills into the players. The players reflect the head coach. And if Gruden can get them going, hey, then who wouldn't sign up for that? Greg, it's Dookie time. I know. But like we said, Duker was a defensive back safeties coach under Glenn in Detroit. He helped develop players like Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. So if that means good things for Malachi Moore, then fantastic. I don't know. Maybe at this rate, this means they will go after Caleb Downs with the second pick. I don't know. But Duker talked to a website about his working relationship with Glenn, and here's what he said. Oh, by the way, if this picture isn't inspiring enough for you, I figure maybe that's one picture. It's not very fair. Let's go to another picture. Oh, that's even better. Now he's got a little more hair going on, and now he's got just a beautiful Dolphins polo going over with the horizontal stripe here. Oh, my God. Again, he looks like he's somewhere between the water boy and the film coordinator if he had a football job. But I see computer programmer when I look at this kid. 36 years old. I'm 8 years older than him. What did I do with my life? Anyway, this is Duker's quote. AG was awesome, even in my short time where we overlapped for 1 year in Cleveland. So they knew each other going back to Cleveland to some extent. I have a ton of respect for him. Obviously, the kind of person he is, the kind of football coach he is. I knew he'd be successful as a defensive coordinator. As soon as he and I talked, I was very excited about the opportunity to come here and work under him. Yeah, because you never thought you'd have a chance of being a DC this soon in your career. No wonder your ass was excited. Grandizer, Adam, if it's any consolation, Duker and the other secondary coaches with the Fins did somewhat wonders. That was supposed to be really bad. They had a lot of injuries. You know, Ramsey going out, Kohu getting hurt. Yeah, they were very, very beat up. Losing Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer basically being ancient. Yeah, it was a very beat up secondary. So yeah, I'm not killing Brian Duker. It's just like basically I think he is what Adam Gase was for Peyton Manning. He's going to go make Aaron Glenn his coffee just the way he wants it. Another cream, Mr. Glenn? Another sugar, Mr. Glenn? What? Why, thank you, Brian. That's Brian Duker's job. Now, if he's got some X's and O's skills, I want to be fair. Just because we don't know him doesn't mean that he sucks. If he's got some X's and O's intelligent, if he's good with scheming, if he could do that, because to me, that's where Aaron Glenn is not as strong. If he could do that and Duker complements, Glenn's rah-rah ability or whatever it is, the aggressive mindset with some good scheming, then we could talk a little bit. Of course, you still have to overhaul about, 8, 9 starters. Just makes me sick. What's good, Grandizer, the Miami secondary, despite injuries and losing Ramsey, played better than the pass rush. That they did. Yeah, that Miami defense was just super beat up last year. I don't think there's any way around it. Billy, Gruden would inherit 27 first-round picks. He's not getting an opportunity like that anywhere else. Not to mention that the Jets are projected to have the most cap space of any team after the 2026 season. Now, free agency this year could certainly change that. I do expect the Jets to be incredibly aggressive on the free agent market. I don't know how they can't be. The Jets have kind of restrained for a little bit. They need to do what the Patriots did. They need to go all in. They need to identify their players and then but you got to have the right coaches in place. And it sounds all well and good, but of course the Patriots had Drake May ready to go. The Jets need to find a quarterback. They need to find a whole new quarterback room, as a matter of fact. That's the problem. Because people say you can't win through free agency. You can, but you have to have certain things in place first, like New England did. So, oh, that's right. Minka went back as well. Yep, Russell Douglas came in. Douglas was always pretty good. Yeah, well, our old buddy Ashton Davis. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, good old Ashton Davis. What are you gonna do? So here's what all of this means. And do I want to keep going? These are many head coaching vacancies, Arizona and Las Vegas, whatever. Okay. So here's what this all means. Glenn is pushing all of his chips to the middle of the table. He has to go all in. He has to do it this year. He wants to call the plays, which is what turned off most of these defensive coordinator candidates. And I understand it because Glenn knows if his ass is on the line this year, if he's going to get fired, barring a season that resembles anything like what we saw for 17 games. If he's going to go out, he's going to do it his way. It may indeed fail. Most Jet fans right now would say, most people around the country would say it's going to fail. But at least it will be Glenn failing his way. It won't be other people failing him. It's the same thing Bill Parcells did after year one. It's the same thing Jimmy Johnson did when he abruptly replaced David Shula as offensive coordinator, replaced him with Norv Turner, the father of that entitled little you-know-what, Scott Turner. But in 12 months, Aaron Glenn will either be out, he will be jobless, or this team will start to turn around and in a notable way. And I can imagine everybody saying, yeah, we know, yeah, Y2K, we know which one of these scenarios is more likely. We know what's going to happen. My issue is I can't deal with, so how do you think the Jets are going to do next year? I can't answer that question in late January. Let's have free agency. Let's have a draft. Let's see where this goes. Before we decide we can't turn it around, let's have a better idea of what this roster is going to look like. Oh, that's right. There's one problem. Who wants to come here who's actually good? But I'll tell you what, their best wide receiver they bring in cannot be another Josh Reynolds. It cannot be another Tyler Johnson. I can't deal with another bunch of one-year deals for 30-somethings who have nowhere else to go, and they basically come to the Siberia of the NFL. And I do think there is a contingent of Jet fans who are just going to kill Aaron Glenn for everything, no matter what he does. And I'm kind of over it. Now, I have never been one who wanted Aaron Glenn fired. I have not been able to defend him either, other than to say I don't believe in firing a first-time head coach after 1 year. I don't believe in doing that. But if he kept all these coaches, the same people would kill him for just running it back. I give Glenn credit for admitting a mistake, multiple mistakes, and turning the page. He knows he needs to hit it this time around, and I can live with that. I can understand that. What has worn me out this week and what has made me as uncertain about Glenn as I've ever been is the timing of everything. We waited till championship week to part ways with our offensive coordinator. The good candidates are basically gone, either in head coach roles or they took OC jobs in other cities. What I can't believe is we may not have an offseason that's even worth getting excited about. At least in past years, we could be a little excited from February to August. It feels like this whole fan base has given up. Let's do a little experiment. Think about the most positive Jets fan that you know. Think about who that is. Might be a friend, might be a relative, whoever it is. Somebody you know on social media, whatever. Think of the most positive Jets fan. Do they believe in this regime? Do they believe in the direction of this team? As bad as this franchise has been for years, I cannot remember another time when it was this collectively negative, doomsday, there is nowhere to go. I don't know when that's been. Now, once the Jets do sign some players, once they draft some players, maybe it'll start to change. It'll shift a little bit. But I'll tell you what, today's defensive coordinator hire, that didn't exactly inspire a whole lot of confidence. And if we do see Jim Leonard go to Buffalo, which right now is the rumor, it's only a rumor, that he is a leading candidate. He was not hired. He is not the front runner. He is a leading candidate, just like he was, by the way, with the Giants, like he was in Dallas, a couple other places. But I wanted Leonard here, but I can't blame him for not coming here, just like I can't blame Tanner Eggstrand for wanting out. That is what's frustrating. It's like the Jets know they have to do it differently, but now they don't know how to do it differently. It's like change for change's sake. You know, the chicken with its head cut off routine. And it's easy to say this is rock bottom, you know, because we hear that after every loss. Now, this feels like rock bottom for the organization because I don't see a way out over the next year. I don't. My optimism is about as low as I can remember it being, to the point where I'm not even angry. I'm just resigned. I mean, what will transform the perception or the energy of the New York Jets over the course of the calendar year 2026? I can't think of a free agent they could sign that would do it. I can't think of a player they could draft that would do it unless the Raiders get too cute and decide they don't want to take Fernando Mendoza. I can't really think of a player they could trade for, a quarterback they could trade for who's on the market that would change it. I'm sure the Jets would try. I'm sure they'll call teams. But right now, and again, it's late January. We don't know what half this roster will look like. But right now, I cannot imagine a season where they win more than 3 games they won last year. So Mike Tomlin, Sean McDermott, take the year off. Please, take the year off. My God. Yeah, but hey, it builds character, guys. We're building character as Jet fans. And that's the thing. It's like, I have certain gear that I wear for all my teams, and I tend to go with the team that I'm most proud of in the moment. I don't know if I'll be putting any Jets gear on until the draft. That'll probably be the next time. And after that, I may not do it until next September. I'll be switching between Mets, Knicks, and Rangers. I mean, I don't need people giving me that look that's sort of, I'm sorry, man. People feeling sorry for me, people pitying me. I'm tired of it. And I think you're tired of it too. I had optimism under the last regime. I had hope it would turn around and that it could turn around. Even the regime before that, I had some optimism. I never was really a big Todd Bowles believer. I really wasn't. Most people think of me as a Joe Douglas support, and I am a Joe Douglas supporter. I hope he gets the job in Atlanta. But I think he did a lot right. But I knew by the end of Robert Saleh's time, it was time for him to go. But there was optimism. I could see a path during that time with Aaron Rodgers, with the defense that they were building up with the pass rush, where it was like, okay, I can see how they can win games. I don't see anything like that now. I don't see a positive identity. I don't see reason for hope right now. And I am dying to have my mind changed. Get me excited again, Jets. Get me and get this crazy, loyal, and I'm worried to say possibly shrinking fan base. Get us excited again. Find a way. Because I don't see how it's going to happen. Harlan, a head coach needs at least 3 seasons to acquire players and get them playing together. That's why I don't want to give up on Glenn. Not after 1 year. Although, like I said, I'm as shaky on him as I've ever been. I can't deny it. I know there have been some folks who have wanted him fired since like 2/3 of the way into last season. To me, that's just very abrupt because, again, if you let go of Aaron Glenn, who you're going to bring in? Do you think John Harbaugh was going to take the Jets over the Giants? That Mike McCarthy was going to take the Jets over the Steelers? That Kevin Stefanski would even take the Jets over the Falcons? Jesse Minter would take the Jets over the Ravens? It looks like McDermott and Tomlin will be available next year to pursue, as will John Gruden. I'd sign for any one of those 3 if that's what it comes to. Grandizer, my question would be, how much is Mendoza in play? Your offensive coordinator and quarterback coach need to be Mendoza guys. If that is the quarterback, not the whole drafting Mendoza and hope they have the right coaches. Unless Mendoza is the type of quarterback like Marino or Pennington, good at nearly every offense. If you believe a quarterback is the quarterback, you don't talk trade. New England was not willing to trade with the Giants for Drake May as much as they wanted him. That's just one example of it. And it's very rare that you do that, in my mind, when it's not a quarterback. I mean, to me, do I want Mendoza to be a New York Jet? Absolutely, I would. Absolutely. And we know the Raiders have a pretty dumb front office. They're a dumb organization, especially with the overrated cheat there as sort of their figurehead now, who shouldn't be allowed to do that if he's going to ruin Fox broadcast. But that's besides the point. I just don't see a way, that a franchise that is all about image and glamour, and I'm talking about the Raiders, that sort of identity in Vegas, in the city of Las Vegas, there's no way they're not taking Mendoza. The Jets could offer their entire draft, and I don't think the Raiders would make the trade. The Jets can't have another Sam Darnold scenario where they knew what they had, but the coaching staff was always to blame. Yeah, and not only that, but Mike McCagnon did a bad job of surrounding him with talent. The Jets make the trade to move up. Their next draft choice after that was Nathan Shepard, a defensive tackle. They did a bad job of supporting Sam Darnold. There's no way around it. Not that they were the only team. Yeah, because you have some of these pricks on ESPN and these other networks, Fox and whatnot, who would like you to believe that this is all about the Jets, that the Jets are the dumb organization for letting him go. No, they traded and they got some value back for him. Because the way the Darnold was playing, you could not give him a new contract. He hadn't played well enough to earn it. You could have traded the pick and done something with that. But I have I'm not upset about the Jets drafting Zach Wilson over keeping Sam Darnold. Because again, who is the other great quarterback that they passed on? Who came after that? Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. And please, Mac Jones, we know how bad he was in New England, okay? He couldn't work in New England. He had to go to quarterback rehab to get his career fixed. And now it's funny. Now I would take Mac Jones happily on the Jets if San Francisco would be willing to trade him. But yeah, they did a horrible job at surrounding Sam with talent. And that was Mike McCagnon's biggest mistake that he ever made. Along with, because he didn't hire Todd Bowles. That wasn't his decision. And I guess he was probably involved with the Adam Gase hire too before Gase basically kicked him out the door in the power struggle. But yeah, the Jets cannot have a scenario like that again. Absolutely. But again, I think it was about player personnel even more than coaching. Well, he had Gase, so yes. Yeah, so it was about both of those factors. So while we're talking about head coaches, I think we need to talk about something positive, something that'll make us smile for one moment. At least this is going to make me smile. And I would like to just talk about this asshole, Bill Belichick, getting snubbed for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. I mean, all I could say is this. I was so happy when I heard the news, and to watch all these media types just lose their minds over Belichick not getting inducted in his first year. Shut down the Hall of Fame. This is preposterous. Shut it down right now. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. Look, does Bill Belichick belong in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. But to a bigger prick, it could not happen. We know he's going to get in, so please calm your tits, everybody. All right? But between Spygate being a prick to the media, you knew it was being held against him. And I'm not saying the character should or should not factor into this thing, but these writers, they factored it in. And now the Hall of Fame's making statements about if bias got in the way, they could lose their vote. Really? Really? Does it matter? All that matters is if you're in or you're not in. How many people remember how many years it took for player X to get into the Hall of Fame? All you're going to care is that the player, the coach, or whoever got in the Hall of Fame. So the fact that Belichick has to wait just one extra year for it, it's not the first time Belichick's done some waiting. He waited 49 years for his girlfriend to be born. So I don't think Belichick has any problem with waiting. Anyway. You're welcome, Grandizer. I know you can sympathize with that. Hey, Eagle Fang, how are you doing? Belichick, Spygate, and Deflategate is the reason why he did not make it. I hope Brady gets host for Deflategate. Eagle Fang, I would love that, but it's not going to happen because he's the pretty boy. He's got all these endorsements. Hey, Tom, can you actually eat the Pizza Hut? We see you do these pizza commercials. When was the last time you took a bite of Pizza Hut? Please. Or if it did, it probably had some freaking avocado base on it. Some truffle oil and avocado on your pizza. You big baby. My God. I did not watch. Guys, can I make one confession? Can I make a confession? I watched one play of football last Sunday. That was it. And it was a Denver run for 0 yards, like 2 minutes into the game. And I said, why am I watching this? I know New England's going to win. I told you New England would win this game. And then, even if I watched Seattle and the Rams, I would have had to listen to frickin' Brady, as undeserving of that job as anybody. I got to listen to him do the play-by-play. I'm just surrounded by Satan's favorite football team. I can't take it anymore. And Robert Kraft got denied too. But I'm sure he'll have, but you know, at the end of the day, when it's all over, I'm sure he'll have a happy. All right. Yeah, the Kraft-Belichick relationship soured when Brady left. Yep, absolutely true. I'm sure we'll have another last dance about that whole Patriot. Oh, God. You know, there's going to be a whole mini-series one day about the Patriots. You know it's coming. You know it's coming. Netflix, ESPN, it's going to happen one day. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, man. I don't know if I can imagine anything more vomit-provoking in the world than that. Oh, boy. Stephon Diggs, speaking on the doubters when he had 5 catches for 17 yards. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah. I got into it with some Patriot fans on social media, and they said, oh, you hate us because you ain't us. And first thing I said was, boy, that's a really original line. How long did it take you to come up with that one? And I said, how many women have Stephon Diggs and Christian Barmore beat on this week? He didn't have an answer for that shit. I'll tell you that right now. And Drake May, you know, I still say that he's overrated. I'm sorry. Good quarterback, but top 5? No. Absolutely not. I don't see that. Oh, and one more thing I have one more thing that I need to rant about. Just one more thing here. Shedeur Sanders in the Pro Bowl. What? Shedeur Sanders over Trevor Lawrence? I'm sorry. Were Bailey Zappi and Brady Cook unavailable that weekend that they called Shedeur Sanders? What happened? Watch this. Watch. Shedeur Sanders, when he negotiates his next contract, his agent will remind every team, now remember, this is a Pro Bowl quarterback you want here. That's a Pro Bowl quarterback. Pony up the cash. I swear to you, from now on, can we just vote on Pro Bowlers for the recognition and nothing else? Nothing else. I'll even take this trade-off. NFL, we know you want all these international games. You're all about making the money. We know you don't care about the fans. You're trying to expand the game because you know you got people like me, the people in the chat, the people watching this show right now, you know, after the fact. We know, you know that you got us in your little pocket right here. You're trying to get all these new fans, okay, who, oh my gosh. They don't know offside from a false start, okay? But I'll give you this trade-off. You want a game they want an international game every day of the year. I'm positive. Every week of the season. They want a game in England. They want a game in Ireland. They want a game in Germany, a game in Brazil. They want a game in Zimbabwe. They want a game on the North Pole, a game on Uranus. They want a game everywhere. Fine. Do it. Stop with the Pro Bowl games. Stop it. Just vote on the recognition and end it. We don't need the Pro Bowl games. We don't need the Pro Bowl obstacle course. We don't need the Pro Bowl wing eating contest, the Pro Bowl 3-legged race, whatever the hell there is now. It is a sham. No one watches this crap anyway. Once the Pro Bowl left Hawaii, it was DOA. Dead. And when you get undeserving players like him, like Shedeur Sanders in there, the credibility evaporates that much more quickly. Ridiculous! Shedeur Sanders has more Pro Bowls in the last 2 years than Aaron Rodgers now. How many MVPs does Shedeur Sanders have? We can say we want about Aaron Rodgers, but he's still a top 10 quarterback of all time, maybe higher. Anyway. I definitely got a good amount of yelling in, so hope everybody enjoyed that. Let's do a quick check. All right. Okay, just doing a quick likes check. Again, guys, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Okay, and of course the Rangers haven't scored yet. Well, I have to do this. It was 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. I wanted it to be a month. Grandizer said. I mean, the bye week. I thought the bye week was always the right time. You know what else was really cool? Do you remember when they would do the quarterback games like in the late 80s, early 90s? You have like the moving targets like that. Quarterback tries to hit the bullseye. They even had a video game based off of that I used to play. That was pretty fun. Yeah, I like the quarterback games. That was fun. And like everybody wanted to go. You know, you would see the best quarterbacks there. So, Unfortunately, we don't get that anymore. But yeah, the bye week is the right time for it. It's just excruciating. These sports leagues have to do so much to make the All-Star games mean something. You just can't do it. The only point of it is the recognition to say, well, this guy could go to the Hall of Fame, like an offensive lineman. It's like, well, this guy played in 8 Pro Bowls. Like, you need some sort of measuring stick, But outside of that, there's no point to it anymore. There's just not. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We are going to go ahead and do something that we do every single week. We're going to go ahead and do it right now. By the way, you still have some comments? You have any questions, any thoughts? You just need a little frustration out? Let me know. There've been a lot of good shows out there today. Check out the other content creators for sure. Give them some love. Give them some support. We've all got different opinions, and what can I say? Just try to offer different perspectives and see where it goes. But anyway, we are going to, the quarterback challenge, something like that. Yeah. The one I remember the most is the moving target and the tire throw, right? Where they try to get into the tire. So that was always pretty fun. So every week, what happens. I head down into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge, and I bust open the books. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. I enter the Jets' dark web, and I, Watsu-K99, challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in all of the NF freaking hell. How much do you know about your New York Jets? So if you are ready, and I know you're ready, let's play Jets Trivia. So tonight's question, it's going to go a little bit like this. But before we do that, remember, I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. Type your answers right down there in the comments. I will let you know if you are correct or incorrect. It's been a tough week, so I did go a little bit easier on you this week. I think this is a question that we will be able to get, even if Sharon McClain, Nick Shine, and Curly Norman are taking the night off. And if they are here, hello. But even if they take the night off, I've got confidence the chat is going to get this question. So tonight's question goes like this. Name the 2 quarterbacks who have worn number 2 for the Jets. Grandizer, I'll come back to your question in a few minutes. Swig of water for the working man and woman. Jadrick. 1007. If I said that wrong, I apologize. I savor Jets losses. Please keep encouraging AG to keep digging. He always finds his pot of putrid. Go Jets. Wow. Grandizer, that's for me to know and you to figure out. All right, so 2 quarterbacks who have worn number 2 for the Jets. Who are those 2 quarterbacks, chat? Eagle Fang 86 comes in. He's going to try to give both answers. Zach Wilson and Tyrod Taylor. Is that correct? And you are correct, my friend. Zach Wilson and Tyrod Taylor. I had a feeling that the chat would do pretty well on this. And Eagle Fang soars above them all and takes a bite out of this trivia question. So, chat, tonight, you are winners. Very, very well done, guys. Yep, Zach Wilson and Tyrod Taylor. All right. That means next week I'm going to have to take it up just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right, so Grandizer's question. In a couple weeks or so, will you do your impending Jets free agents sign or walk? Yes, we will be doing some free agency over the next I would do it, but all this coordinator news has made me push it back. But free agency doesn't even start until mid-March. We still have about 6 weeks to go. So there's a good amount of time between now and the tampering period. So as we get into February, yes, I'll do probably 1 week on offense, 1 week on defense. That is the plan as of right now. So yes, I'll outline an offseason plan. I'll talk about what I want to see during this offseason. Well, things that are realistic anyway. But yes, I have a couple of weeks tentatively planned. Of course, you always need to keep it on hold because God only knows with this franchise what news they're going to create. You know, next week we might talk about Frank Reich. We might talk about his offense and what works, what doesn't work, and what kind of players the Jets might want to target to suit that offense. So who knows what we might do. There we go. There you go. There's a virtual hug. There you go. Eagle Fang, who was the Jets fullback in 1996 before Richie Anderson? I got to go back a few years. Gerald Soule. I know Soule was there like in 98. Would it be Gerald Soule? I'm actually going to look this up myself. Look this up myself. My first thought, well, I was going to some obscure names, but they were too recent. In what year? In 1996. He was. Oh no, Soul came in 1997. Okay, so that's not correct. Baxter, right? So 96. That was right before Parcells came in. It was right before Parcells, so Morrell would have been the running back. Huh. See, now you got me curious. Now I need to look this up. Yeah, Gerald Soule was close, but I missed by 1 year. Oh my God. Oh. Apparently it's Lou. Okay, let's see. Yeah, you're putting it in there. Lou D'Agostino. Oh my God, you went really obscure, man. He played for the Jets in 1996. He went to Hofstra. Okay, no wonder. Okay, and he's from Brooklyn. Played for the Hofstra Pride, the Rhode Island Rams. Played in the XFL for the New York, New Jersey Hitmen in 2001. So his only season in the NFL was with the Jets. So Lou D'Agostino. Does he own a pizza parlor somewhere? I mean, D'Agostino's Pizza, right? I mean, it sounds pretty dang good, I think. Did I watch the Shrine Bowl? Grandizer asks. No, I didn't. Do I plan on watching the Senior Bowl, Legacy Bowl? I don't know about watching it. I'll follow reports, but I mean, it's more about the reports that you get coming out of there. The good thing is this is about the time once these things happen that you could really start to get your scouting reports going for the draft. But no, I didn't watch the Shrine Bowl. I'll try to follow what's going on at the Senior Bowl. And, right about now is the time that I'm going to start to look into some of these draft prospects and try to get into some of the sleepers. As we get closer to the draft, I always want to do a show about sleepers. And we need to do that because the Jets have a lot of late picks. We got to know some of these day 3 guys, some possible guys to target. And that's something I'm really going to try to do for you. And for myself, too, in a selfish way. It was Fred Baxter? Really? I'm looking here. So I got the 96 Jets roster. And I don't see Fred Baxter. He's listed as a tight end, along with Kyle Brady and the immortal Tyrone Davis. Lou D'Agostino was listed as the fullback. Now, it is Wikipedia, so who knows? But, okay, so you're going Fred Baxter. Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, Fred Baxter or Freeman. Yeah, Freeman McNeil was a running back. I had it on my second guess. There you go. Okay. But I don't even know if I want to watch the Super Bowl this year. I can't watch the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I can't. And the halftime show is going to be a complete disgrace. All right. The less said about that, the better. But we know what it is. It's going to be an absolute joke. Man. Any mock draft that you've seen that you agree with, any that you disagree with? Yes. Any draft where Ty Simpson is going second, I wholeheartedly disagree with it. Any draft where the Jets have a chance to draft Sonny Styles or Mekhi Lemon at 16, I disagree with it. And I would love one of those two players. Would love them. But I just don't see that happening. I just don't see it. Eagle Fang, I never watch Super Bowls until the Jets make it. That's my rule. Well, there'll be plenty of stuff out. I never watched a Patriots Super Bowl. Not once. I did watch the end of the first Giant Patriots one. I was very happy when they lost, that they lost the undefeated season. I will admit that. After that, I never watched another Patriots Super Bowl again. I sure as hell didn't watch when Brady made it with Tampa Bay. So, yeah, there's been a lot of Super Bowls that I have not watched over the years. And I don't exactly regret that decision. I'm 100% on board with Reese and a trade up for Bailey in the tens. Oh, with Arvell Reese and then trade up for David. Trade up for Bailey? I don't know if Bailey's making out of the top 5, dude. I don't know if you're going to get both of them. The Jets definitely need playmakers in that front 7. Now, I do wonder if this is going to be a 4-3 defense. I am in favor of signing. I'll give you a little free agency preview. I'll give you a little tidbit. I'm in favor of signing Alex Anzalone because he would be the Bart Scott of this defense. He would be the leader. He would be the one help integrate that culture, move Jamin Sherwood over to the side where he doesn't have to organize the defense. That I am very much in favor of. But then you need to get an impact edge rusher and an impact defensive tackle. I like Juwan Briggs. I like Harrison Phillips. But we need somebody that you can plug in and create an impact at each one of those positions. We need a deeper front seven. The offense, you can fix that with like 3 players. You can go a long way with 3 players in turning this into a credible NFL offense. The defense, how many legitimate starters are on this team right now? I mean, let's take it from the front. Juwan Briggs, is he a credible starter? Okay, probably. Harrison Phillips is fine in the rotation. Will, JJ, I got questions about them after this past year. Linebacker Jamin Sherwood, he had a very disappointing season. Quincy Williams is gone. Brandon Stevens, he was okay. A.Z. Thomas, maybe he could turn into something. Malachi Moore, I'm fine with. There isn't any place on this defense that you cannot upgrade. No place whatsoever. And I expect them to hit the defense very hard in this draft, and I'm here for it. If you can't get the quarterback that you want, then build up this team and make one unit of the team, an impact part of the team, make that unit great. And if you can get to the quarterback consistently and, dare I say, actually force a turnover, it's amazing. The Jets have more turnover in the last 2 days than they did all season. It's amazing. They could do that. They could get me a dynamic front seven. I can roll into next season with that. I can roll with that. Let's go back up. Let me go back up into the comments here just a little bit. I don't know what sucks more. Didn't Jeremy Jets Chaos say that Vrabel was on the radar for the Jets to interview, but they got Saleh? That was last year before they hired Glenn. Yeah, because Vrabel was available. And when the Patriots heard that the Jets would be pursuing Vrabel, they fired Gerard Mayo, and they basically brought Vrabel home. I mean, that's where Vrabel played. He has Drake May. I mean, even though I'm not the biggest complimenter of Drake May, he's better than anything the Jets have. The timing just sucked. So much of this is timing. You know, you can have the number 1 pick, but if you don't have, a great quarterback there, then ouch. And that is that has happened a number of times. So many times the Jets have picked number 2, and it has just turned into a nightmare. Johnny Lamb-Jones, Blair Thomas, and Zach Wilson. Those are the 3 times they picked number 2. The last 3 times they picked number 2. 3 out-and-out disasters. 2026 Jets NFL Draft. What are your Jets' primary needs, secondary needs, ancillary needs? The only don't need I would give you, I'll give you the offensive tackle, although I could draft a depth offensive tackle, and running back. Put it this way. I'll put depth needs to the side. We don't need a punter. We don't need a punt returner. Oh, my goodness. If I had to break all this down, I'll just go position. Quarterback, primary need. Running back, ancillary need. I put that on the level down. I like Braylon Allen. I like Isaiah Davis. If Brees stays, great. If he doesn't stay, they can still sign somebody or draft somebody. But if Brees leaves, I'll make that a secondary need. Wide receiver, primary need. They need somebody on the other side of Garrett Wilson. Offensive tackle, ancillary need. You could use a depth player behind Olu and Armand. Guard, that I think is going to get addressed in free agency. So right now I'm going to say don't need. I'm not really using the don't need because you can upgrade anywhere. Center, I would go. That center's an interesting one because Josh Myers to me is a backup. He's not a starter. I'm worried now that Tyler Linderbaum is going to be a Giant with John Harbaugh there. I think I would put center as a secondary need for the Jets. I don't want to make everything primary. I don't want to do that. I just don't want Josh Myers starting again. I could be persuaded to make that a primary need. Edge rusher, primary need. Defensive tackle, secondary need. Linebacker, secondary need, and it's a need, but I can't make linebacker a primary need. Cornerback, I'll go secondary need. I know Connor Hughes would disagree with me. That's great. Safety, primary need. I want a playmaker at safety. Kicker, ancillary need. Depends what Nick Folk wants to do. Punter, don't need. Kick returner, don't need. Punt returner, don't need. Long snapper, don't need. Water boy, don't need. That's about as good as that's what I can give you. That's what I got for you. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. A lot. And do we have the structure in place to, even if the Jets draft the right players, to develop them and bring it all together? You can have the best of it. If you're making a pot of soup, okay, I'll go deeper. If you're making a pot of chili, this is a chili season right now with the snow last weekend and the snow coming again this weekend, at least where I am. This is like chili. You can have the best ingredients in the world, but you still got to have the chef there to put them together, put them in at the right time, cook them for the right amount of time, serve it just right. You got to have somebody to put it together. You're making cake, you can have the ingredients, but somebody's got to put it together and say, let there be cake. And it was good. All right. So, and that's the thing. I don't know if the Jets have that. The Jets drafted, they got a lot of the right ingredients in those drafts that Joe Douglas was here. A lot of them. The coaching failed. I am going to say that until my dying day. That the coaching staff failed the best talent this franchise has had in, I don't know, 20 years, 15, 20, maybe as talented, if not more talented, maybe, than the Rex teams. Maybe. I don't know. You can make the argument. I know the results weren't there, but the talent was, in my mind. Grandizer blames Tego for leaking Vrabel going to be interviewed with the Jets. Just kidding. Tego's on a mission right now. Tego is on an anti-Aaron Glenn mission. It's to the point where it almost makes me uncomfortable at times. God bless him. God bless him. He's a good dude. Hope I get to meet him one day. Adirondack Fly Guide. Sup? How you doing, brother? Hope you're having a good night. Hoping you're not letting the Jets ruin your life. Grandizer, I would love how the old draft network would list the needs. Oh yeah, it was painful. It was like half the need. They list 5 needs, and 2 of them would be like, really? Who told you that? But yeah, but some of these mock drafts are changing now. We'll probably do a mock draft. We'll start getting into the mock drafts pretty soon. In the next, maybe in the next 2 weeks or so. Although I gotta be honest, at this point, once you get to about the 3rd round, or 4th round, I'm going by coolest sounding name. Coolest sounding name, position need. And the truth is, where the Jets are now, you can't even go by position because there isn't a position where they couldn't really use some help somewhere. How would AG handle it if Reich decides to stay retired and not coach the offense? I think it's going to happen, Eagle. I really think it's going to be Frank Reich. And I'm fine with that. I mean, am I supposed to be excited about this Cowboys tight end coach coming in? Which, again, I will say this was a Rooney Rule interview. Nothing more, nothing less. The Jets interviewed him because they had to. With Tanner Engstrand gone, the Jets have to interview one more minority candidate for offensive coordinator. And as soon as that's done, within 24 hours, I believe Frank Reich will be hired. Eagle Fang, Jets were ranked 4 in attendance, dropping only 2 spots. Jets fans still showing up. Okay. I have a theory or two on this. I do need to look this up, though. NFL attendance 2025. Yep, Jets are ranked number 4. Behind Green Bay, Denver, and Kansas City. Now, that is okay. At home. All right. So the one thing with that is it ranks 17 teams, and these other ones, I'm going to go by total here. I don't know. All right. Yeah. So in terms of number of fans, and some teams have 8 home games, some have 9. The Jets had, all right. So the Giants were only 22,000 behind the Jets, so they would have had more fans than the Jets had they had the extra home game. All right. But Dallas, Denver, and Kansas City had more fans at their home games this year. All right. So The least, by the way, was the Bears at 465,000. I come back and say this. Isn't MetLife Stadium, all right, largest NFL stadiums? Because Dallas has the largest, right? Or the second largest. Okay. MetLife holds more fans than any other stadium in the NFL, 82,500. Lambeau Field, 81,441. AT&T Stadium, 80,000. Arrowhead, 76. So the truth of the matter is, it's because MetLife Stadium is so large. That it is misleading, man. Yeah, it is. And the other question I would have, and there's really no scientific way to determine this, but of those fans that came in, and I'm going to go back to the let me go back to the stat here. Of those 660,246 fans, how many of them were actually Jet fans? I'd be willing to bet at least 200, at least a third of those fans were opposing team fans. A quarter at least, definitely a quarter. All right. So, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I think maybe people forgot how badly Reich ended with the Panthers. Now they're going to bring Reich in. I don't trust any move Glenn does. Then again, Eagle, I will come back and say the owner in Carolina, he's kind of crazy. He's nuts. This is the same owner who threw a drink on a fan, okay? And I don't mean like during a party. No. It's a good thing that Dave Canales worked out as well as he did, because he's taking the attention away from that owner, because that owner was looked at nearly as badly as Woody. Or, almost Dan Snyder levels, because he just seemed not only to be incompetent, but a jerk. Woody may be incompetent, but he's not a bad person. He's not a jerk the way Dan Snyder could be, and the way that David Tepper apparently can be. So I do question the owner when it comes to that sort of thing. It worked out, though, because eventually he did get Canales in the building. And there's a lot of season ticket holders selling their tickets to make a profit. I don't blame. Absolutely. If you live on Long Island and you got to go out to New Jersey with that drive, with the tolls, with the weather, with the crappy product, it is not up to me to tell anybody how to spend their money or not spend their money. But I put no blame on them for selling their tickets and making money off of it. And I wonder, is Woody Johnson content with a third of the stadium being Cowboy fans, Steeler fans, Patriot fans, Bills fans? Is he good with that? I mean, even Ira in Staten Island, who's as positive a Jet fan as there is, he actually said today on ESPN Radio, this is unfixable as long as Woody Johnson owns the Jets. Paraphrasing, but that is what he used the word unfixable. And when Ira is that down, you know this team is in the sewer hole. Not Panther. Dude, I live in North Carolina. There are not that many Panther fans. They are there, but they don't travel. Yeah, they broke Ira. There's no question about it. No question about it. Oh my gosh! So so the question is, what the hell's going to happen over the next 7 days? Are the Jets going to hire Frank Reich? I expect them to, and even if they do, what kind of assistants are they bringing in? And who wants to come coach here? Who wants to come play here? Jets got this money to spend. Are they going to be able to spend it on players who deserve it, who are worthy of getting a good-sized contract? I don't know. I legit don't know. But free agency will be a little bit before St. Patrick's Day. So it feels a long way off, but it'll be here in about 5-6 weeks. So it's going to be, we're going to have to hold on for a bit. But we'll talk about free agency over the next few weeks, who might be available and who the Jets should pursue. But it'll be a lot easier to do that once these coaching spots are filled. Grandizer, have you heard of another quarterback in the 26th draft the Jets might be showing interest in from the second round to the 7th round? I'd assume they would draft 2 quarterbacks this year. I would not be surprised if they did a free agent, a trade, and a draft pick. I would overhaul the entire quarterback room. I would take the $22 million loss on Justin Fields, Take the cap hit. If you want to spread it 15 this year, 7 next year, no problem. Tyrod Taylor's a free agent. Brady Cook can come back and try to get us and earn the third quarterback spot if he can. Not that I would count on it. I mean, it's hard for me to give you what my ideal quarterback room would involve Fernando Mendoza, but that's not going to happen. If I could have something like, I don't know, right now, this tenant, but Trinidad Chambliss, Mac Jones, and Malik Willis. If I could have 2 of those 3, I'd be okay with it. I'd be okay with that. I have no interest in Ty Simpson at all. Carson Beck to me is a career backup based off what I've seen. At least Chambliss gives you some upside. He gives you some ability there. He gives you some excitement. But if you bring him in, you got to have a really good quarterback coach. And can the Jets bring that in? We can't bring in Charles London, the sequel. We cannot do that. Oh, my God. Did you see Mike McDaniel's opening press conference with the Chargers? It's like, okay, guys, I just kind of shoot from the hip. I'm not big on opening statements, so let's just take your question. Mike McDaniel is one of the most awkward people I've ever seen. Can you imagine Mike McDaniel on the debate team? I don't know. He couldn't he can't find a coherent sentence with 2 hands and a flashlight. Tony, I've been trying to forget the Martinez package and the Strevler package. Hey, all 3 of them can compete for the number 3 spot for all I care. That's fine with me. McDaniel's the guy Woody would hire. Well, the Chargers already hired him, so I don't think we have to worry about it. I think we've done, you know what? I think one failed Dolphins head coach bringing him in right away, that was enough for a lifetime. That was enough. But at least look at it this way. If it was McDaniel, at least he would have had a year or more as a coordinator, unlike Adam Gase, who was fired by the Dolphins and immediately became coach of the Jets. So I think that does matter. Now, believe me, McDaniel would not be on my top tier. He'd be several levels down. I don't need my coach on the sideline wearing capri pants. Grandizer couldn't stand the press conferences. I don't blame you. I mean, I remember back in the day, Rex and Westy, when they were here, their press conferences were must listen to. I haven't looked forward to hearing Mike Pettin do the defensive coordinator press conferences, and all the best to him in his retirement. But Pettin was a little bit dry, but at least he spoke with some determination. Since Rex and Westhoff left, there hasn't been anybody I've wanted to hear do a press conference. Nobody. Saleh could sound a little bit commanding, but how many times could I hear, we're very high on the young man and a lot of confidence in the young man. And we think the young man's going to succeed because that's what we brought the young man here to do. Just all gas, no break for the young man. Precious Jesus. The last non-distraction presser the Jets did was Eric Mangini, Herman Edwards. Well, Herman had personality. Mangini was just, oh boy. Ugh. Mangini was insufferable. Made a lot of progress. He wouldn't only say process. He'd go deeper. He was like, made a lot of progress throughout the process. And he tried to be Belichick, and he wasn't Belichick. And he tried to do that even during the press conferences. And Eric Mangini reminded my philosophy professor back in college. Just trying to sound smarter than he really was, acting like any of us gave a damn what he was talking about or had a clue what he was talking about. He tried to keep it dry to not give anything away, but it was just so monotonous and boring. It was like a philosophy lecture that I would have back in college. It was just, it was so bad, man. It was so bad. So bad. Very bad. Oh. Grandizer, Jalen Daniels from Kansas had a good Shrine Bowl. Wonder if the Jets would be looking to get him day 3 of the draft, 5th, 6th, or back up to Grandizer. Let's wait till they hire an offensive coordinator. Let's see what kind of offense they want to instill. Then we have a better idea what kind of quarterback they want. I can't go into that just yet. Not there yet. But if Glenn wants athleticism, if he wants a tough quarterback, I like the idea of Chambliss, somebody who's had to work his way up. But I want somebody who's a little bit dynamic. If you're gonna be a pure pocket passer, you better be like I don't want to say Marina or Elway. That's not fair. You better at least be like Matt Ryan, or Phillip Rivers. You have to at least be that level. You have to be a perennial Pro Bowl quarterback. Somebody who's going to get me into the playoffs every year. That kind of level. I'm not asking for top 5, but I'm damn sure asking for top 10. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? I think. I'd like to think it is. So nowadays it feels like you do need a little to be something of a dual threat, but you have to ride the line of balance as well as you can between being a pocket passer and being a running quarterback, because then all of a sudden you become injury prone. Yeah, Tony mentioning Spygate. Hey, we know, and I think we all pretty much know the NFL was destroying evidence. So to me, it will always be a fraud. Once cheaters, always cheaters. My God. What have we got here? An interview blitz with the. Do we have some Jet news here? What's going on? This may have just changed. Oh, the Jets have completed virtual interviews with the following candidates for offensive coordinator. Okay, we have some Jet news here. We don't have an interview. We don't have a new offensive coordinator, but we've got 5 candidates. They are Darrell Bevell, who I feel like has been around forever. Ronald Curry. Then we've got Frank Reich. We knew that. Then we've got the tight ends coach from Dallas. I'm opening up the link right now, so let's see here. Yeah, Linda Wells and Greg Roman. Oh, Rex's old offensive coordinator. All right, so this reported by Eric the Shill Allen on the Jets website. Yeah, Q breaking news. All right, yeah, so 5 virtual interviews. So I'm just going to run down these really quick. So Darrell Bevell spent the last 4 years in Miami as the Dolphins quarterback coach and passing game coordinator. Grandizer, what do you think about that? About Darrell Bevell interviewing with the Jets? Was the Jaguars OC in 2021 before taking over head coach duties for Jacksonville's final 4 games. Was the offensive coordinator in Detroit in 1920. Then became interim head coach for the Lions' final 5 games in 2020. So he's been a head coach for 9 games. Let's see, worked with the Packers as an assistant quarterback coach. So he has a lot of time working with quarterbacks. Okay, I can get with this. That I feel pretty good. Won a Super Bowl in Seattle. That's right. Seattle did win a Super Bowl. Sometimes I feel like Seattle has never won a Super Bowl, but I realize that's the World Series. So Darrell Bevell, I feel pretty good about that. Ronald Curry has been the Bills quarterback coach for the last 2 seasons. So clearly, all of Josh Allen's success he owes to Ronald Curry. Maybe Mitch Trubisky. He was on the Saints staff from 2016 to 2023, so we know he worked with Aaron Glenn. Was an offensive assistant, a wide receivers coach, a quarterbacks coach, then a quarterbacks coach / passing game coordinator, and he overlapped with Aaron Glenn from 2016 to 2020. So he was a wide receiver at North Carolina, so I know Nick Shine likes him. Is he related to Del Curry also? I don't know. And Steph Curry? Okay, and then he was an offensive assistant with the Niners in 14-15. All right, so again, quarterback experience. So that is pretty good. Then we go to Frank Reich. We know the deal with Frank Reich. 64 years old, senior advisor with Stanford, was the interim head coach for the Cardinals in 2025, led the team to its most wins since 2020. Was head coach in Carolina for 2023, head coach for 6 years in Indianapolis, was the OC in Philly in 2016 and 17. That was when the Eagles won their first Super Bowl. Was the offensive coordinator for the San Diego Chargers, wide receiver coach in 2012, and spent 14 years in the NFL as a player. Played for 4 organizations, including the Jets, played in 10 games and started 7 for the Jets during the 1996 season when he played with guys like Louis D'Agostino, right? Greg Roman, 53 years old, served as an offensive coordinator in the NFL for 12 of the last 14 years with 3 teams. The Bills in 15-16 with Rex, the Ravens from 2019 to 2022, the Chargers from 2024 to 2025. Okay, started his coaching career in 95 with the Panthers as their strength conditioning coach. Worked with the defensive backs and the linebackers. In 97, he moved over to offense. He was an offensive lineman as a player. Became offensive line coach in 2001. Went over to Houston, worked as tight ends coach and quarterbacks coach. Then he goes to Baltimore in 2006. Became an assistant offensive line coach over there. And yeah, so then it wasn't 2011 is when he first became an offensive coordinator. So a lot of experience over there. Was Stanford's associate head coach in 2009-2010 under Jim Harbaugh, was the AP's assistant coach of the year in 2019. Again, pretty good resume. Jets know how to make all these guys sound exciting. And then you've got Lunda Wells. Lunda Wells. Now, of course, there could be Brian Duker, the sequel, that the Jets have not talked to yet. Because maybe Aaron Glenn wants to call plays on offense, and maybe they hire Brian Duker's cousin. Maybe they hire Billy Ray Duker. I don't know. Maybe they hire him to coach the offense. I don't. If you have Billy Ray Duker, you think he walks around and plays this all day long? I'm Billy Ray Duker. I'm cousin of Brian Duker. He got the Jets defense coordinator job, and I have no idea how.
Storybox Audio.
But I'm going to go coach the offense. Don't know how to call these, but I'm going to run the shotgun because here I got my shotgun. I love to use the shotgun all day long. All right, I'll stop there. I live in North Carolina. I could use that. I could do that, okay? Oh my God! All right, Linda Wells, as we somehow try to steer this show back on the main road. I spent the last 6 seasons as the tight ends coach with the Cowboys. Oversaw the development of Jake Ferguson. Not bad. Prior to Dallas, Wells spent 8 years in various roles with the New York Giants. Offensive quality control coach in 2012. Assistant O-line coach from 2013 to 2017. Tight ends coach in 2018 and 19. Before that, spent 4 years at LSU as an assistant offensive line coach and assistant special teams coach and assistant head coach. So Wells, if I have to rank these, I have no excitement about Wells. Curry, I mean, a little bit, but not much. I'd probably go Curry 4. I would go, so that leaves Reich, Roman, and Bavell. Any one of those 3, I'd be okay. I'm okay with. Any one of the 3. Yeah, Bell is 56, Reich is 64, and Roman is 53. Yeah, clearly I'm going for some experience, especially going with a 36-year-old to be defensive coordinator. I guess my thing with Reich is he feels like he's so close to retirement anyway. And the fact that Roman has been an offensive coordinator as much as he has gives me a good feel. I'd probably go Reich 3. I would go Roman 2 and Bavell 1. I want to say Bedell, but it's Bavell. I just like that he has been a very experienced quarterbacks coach. And Roman's had some mixed results, I think, over the last couple of years. I think the bloom is off the Roman Rose just a little bit. The Roman Rose, we'll call it. So my hope is it will be Darryl Bavell. But let's see if it is one of these 5, because with the Jets again, you have no idea where they're going to go. But yeah, so the interview blitz has most definitely happened. All right. So guys, that's about all I got for you tonight. We went about an hour and a half. Yeah, hour and a half solo. So I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Hope you have a great rest of your week. If you got snow coming your way again this weekend, like I do, definitely stay safe. And without football to watch, hey, have a fun, cook a meal, talk to your family, go hiking in the snow or do something like that. But have some fun. Get your mind off of the Jets. This is not meant to consume our lives. So I just tell you, enjoy the rest of your week. Don't let the Jets ruin your life. I thank you guys again for joining me tonight. And I will see you. Oh, one more thing. If you are a New York Mets fan, in the next couple of days, I will be recording and uploading. I do this every year. My 20 top Mets prospect profiles. I break down my top 20 Mets I'm going to start over. I break down my top 20 Mets prospects, and I rank them from 20 to 1. I break it down over 2 videos. If you're a Mets fan, you will definitely want to watch that. So watch for that to be up, I'm thinking, by this weekend. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see you right back here with more content from you know where. I right-clicked. That's the left click. The Wicker Chair. Have a good night, everybody.